GMGM, ladies, gentlemen, and fantasy top enjoyers, one and all. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Fantasy Top Down. I am only one half of your dynamic hosting duo this morning, Silva Surger, normally joined by my compatriot Ezrin, uh, but he is a little bit under the weather today, so it will be just me flying solo for this morning, but there's too much going on in the world of fantasy top to ignore. So, you know what? We got to get back in here. We had to throw a stream together. And I know we've been away for a few weeks. There's been some family stuff. Again, people being a little under the weather, but hey, I am here and I'm more than excited to hop back into everything and just discuss all the updates and everything going on in fantasy top land. So, without further ado, let us jump right in, folks. I'm just going to make sure my stream is up, and it looks to be, I believe, just gotta shake off the rust just a little bit coming back into action here after a week or two of downtime. Um, yeah, and think everything looks good. So yeah, folks, I'm gonna start as we do every week. Oh, am I? There we go. Okay. Gonna start as we do every week. Looking back over the last week of main competitions, finished up season six main five. So we are almost finished with our season six of tournaments here. We've got the 6 week structure going on. So this coming week will be our last in season six. And I do believe we will have a little bit of a hero vote out, a hero swap coming in. We've the team has been trying out some new dynamics there. It was 5 in, 5 out. Then I believe there was a 3 in, 3 out for a week or two, and then back to, we actually kind of paused it for a week or two. So there hasn't been a vote out in just a touch. But I believe a little birdie might have mentioned that we'll get one coming up here for the end of season six. So that should be really exciting. And I know, a lot of savvy players save up their fragments for those new heroes coming in because they can be such game changers, right? So it'll be super interesting, and we'll touch on that in a moment. But it'll be really interesting to see, do players save up their frags for new heroes if we get those, or are they going to spunk them all down in some of the new game modes that we have, which we'll discuss here? Because that's kind of one of the big reasons that we're hosting a little bit of an impromptu stream here at a different hour than normal, is because we got a couple new game modes that we'll get to discussing. And if you noticed, they went out in tweets, so they're not just, they haven't been soft launched necessarily, but there are some new modes here on the Fantasy Top sidebar that are pretty interesting that we'll get into. I actually have it highlighted here for anyone who can't tell. Talking specifically about that arcade mode, but yeah, actually, before I get into that, folks, I am just gonna put this in our content announcement channel so everybody knows that we are live here. So just one more moment. So thank you and GM to all 71 of you tuning in right now. Gonna get that in content announcements. GM. Fancy Top Down is live. Come through. I know you're all, this is why you're all here, is to hear me monologuing out what I'm typing in an announcement channel. So I appreciate you bearing with me. Let's do at content. Let's do at updates. All right, now that that's settled, we can get into it. So, doing a quick retrospective on last week of rewards, you know, for old Silva, it was not a bad week. We had 0.063 ETH, so a couple $100 coming through. Never gonna be upset about that. 730 frags, which Normally, I would just go straight into jade packs with those. I mean, I'll probably have to dust off a few just to see how those fare this time. But we've definitely got a more interesting choice on how we spend those. And looks like about just shy of 100,000 fan points. So let's see just how that bacon was made. ETH rising a little bit, coming back to life these past couple of days has made these rewards even that much juicier. So always enjoy seeing that. Let's get that lovely case animation opening up. 100K fan, just a little over zero point zero 0.06 ETH, 730 frags. Not bad, all in a hard week's work of watching my heroes tweet out. But yeah, my big win came in Diamond, where I was 20th in Diamond League this week, buoyed by the GOAT Adam Cochran coming in at first again, and even Min, super strong week coming in third there. So 2,000 and 1,900 points between the two of them. I mean, that's going to set you up for a great run, really. And Carbon also at almost 1,650 points at 17th place. So my elites really did a lot of heavy lifting there for me. And then I had my rare Star Platinum in fourth place. So even as a rare, 1,400 points. I mean, that is just insane value you're getting there, especially because there is no star cap here, right? So that's why I could play 2 8 stars, 2 7 stars, and it just really didn't mean anything for me. I just tried to pile in the best cards I could here. Really, as quote unquote sad as it was, Jeff Park was my only less than stellar performer here. 75th with rare, only 800 points. His past few weeks, honestly, I mean, he was crushing that. Fourth place, 20th place, third place, even 37th. So if I could have gotten something like that, I might have had a shot at like top 15-ish. And really, up until yesterday, I was a little bit higher than top 20. I believe I was somewhere between 15th and 19th. So let's see how far off the boil I was there. 77.89 was my score. Okay, yeah. So I was still about 200 off from making that jump up to the next scoring tier of zero point zero 0.02 more ETH, which would have been nice. Zero point zero 0.02 ETH and an extra 100 frags, but Mr. Todd, GG, you thoroughly pipped me there, buddy. Hmm. Finishing off some espresso. So, decent rewards, top 20 in the most competitive league. I'm never gonna sneeze that, right? Just Jeff Park, like I said, if I replaced him with, one of my other two rares that did great in base 16 and Thread Guy, who both scored a solid 400 points more, I would have been able to take that next jump up into a higher tier of pay. But that's okay because those two did contribute to my other strong eighth winning lineup which was in Silver League, 63rd place. Like I said, based at 5 and Thread Guy at 4 stars each. Those were incredible value. So loved having that there. Again, the Star Platinum Common, fourth place, almost 950 points was crazy. Rasmer, 45th place, not bad by any means. You would have hoped, he could have done something a little memey, something a little more viral. Certainly would have helped just a touch more to get his score up. But 683 points, not bad for a 6 star common. And then, you have the 1 star king himself in Makesy, 300 points as a rare. Would have liked just a touch more from you, Makesy, but we'll take what we can get. Again, 1 star. Usually I'm expecting 0, right? Or maybe 100 points if I'm lucky. So even 300 was pretty big in helping contribute to get me to 63rd place here. But you always wonder what could have been a top 50, even like this Diamond League, a top 20. I think I was shuffling some cards around where if I had put base into my Diamond League instead of Jeff Park, that would have been, an extra zero point zero 0.02 ETH. And I had a couple of commons where if I had swapped out Rasmer for something like, who was it? I think I could have actually moved around Naive into that spot and moved some others around, and I could have gotten top 50 in silver. So always a little bit better that you can do there. Just helps to kind of incentivize me get back in the lab, keep working, keep playing around with the lineups. But yeah, I'm just making making that switch to Diamond League. For the longest time, I was playing in gold because I've got a couple of decent epics, Cochrane, Min, Carbon, and trying to get two of those in a couple of gold lineups. It worked for a little while until it didn't, right? That was kind of what I saw there. Was nice. One GMGMSO. Uh, appreciate having you in the chat, buddy, as well as the other 200 of you. SO always bringing the energy. Love it. But just trying to rejigger my thought process, right, and seeing Diamond League. I was there for many months, pivoted to gold after I got rid of some of my legendary cards, and now I saw, with especially with Adam Cochran basically being a nailed on 8-star, finishing. I don't even know how many firsts he's had now. First, eighth, first, third, second, back here, third, first, just in the last couple of weeks and months. I mean, he's almost the new Greg, right? With just everything, all the reporting and commentating he's doing on the political sphere, regardless of your opinions on it, he's getting the engagement, man. He's getting the views, and his posts just constantly popping off for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. I mean, he is such a strong card. And even coming down here, you see only 30 epics, only 7 legendaries. So if you've got any of those, I mean, you're off to a great start in so many leagues. So I think having him basically as a nailed on 8-star makes it harder to fit in into those star capped leagues of gold or even platinum. So throwing him in with even, thinking about Min and Carbon, probably both going to be 7, if not 8 stars again this week. Yeah, so if I want to play them together, I can't afford to use 16 or 15 stars on 2 cards. So they're going in. I can already say they're going in Diamond League again for next week. Um, oh boy. So that's really our kind of week in review, our retrospective there. And yeah, I think it's time we get on to some new game modes, right? I've got a little bit of ETH to spend, got some fragments to spend. So, like I said, normally I would just go straight to the shop. I'd spunk it all down on Jade packs, put that slider up to infinity and buy as many as I can. But, folks, we have some new introductions to the Fantasy Top ecosystem, really from this past week, where we had a new game mode, King of the Hill, go live. Excuse me. So King of the Hill is by no means, brand new to, you know, betting or even, some sort of game modes I'm sure players will be familiar with from other games, Web 3 or more likely Web 2, truthfully. But King of the Hill has been made into a fantasy friendly version where now you are able to, without owning any cards, you don't need to own these cards that you are constructing lineups with, but you're going to be tasked with choosing the best performer of every star level. So star 1 star through 8 star, you pick one player from each star requirement, and you think who is going to score the highest, the most points that week from each group, right? Um, so what's exciting about this is, like I said, you don't actually need the cards. For so long, the core game has been and still is locked behind ownership of the NFTs, the cards that you submit. King of the Hill is not, which, opens up that it opens up the game to so many more people, right? Anyone who might have been curious or thought that they could have had an edge, but maybe they didn't want to buy the cards, or they were low on ETH, whatever the case may be. This opens up new avenues for players to kind of be onboarded and really just to show that they know more than the rest of the market, right? And that's what all fantasy is showing you're a pro, you know what's going on Twitter in Web 3, the combination of those two spheres. So King of the Hill is just a way to show that you can predict who is going to pop off in every category more so than the competition. So we have a great Twitter thread here, detailing it all, as well as um, a nice little run through video here put together, I'm sure by the GOAT 710 himself. So you can see him locking in some lineups. And every cost, so like I said, you don't need to own the cards, but there is a cost for entry, right? So the cost is going to be 50 fragments. And this is exciting because 50 fragments, you're like, "Oh, okay, that's a spin of the wheel," or it might actually be, half of a card, right? If you have the other 50 or burn some cards you have. So it's not zero, it's not just free entries, but those 50 frag entries get you the ability to have huge, huge prize pool payouts of, you know, I, I'm actually going to go through the process here, and so we'll see in a minute. But it's if you think you know your stuff, the gains that you are likely to make are so outsized. It really kind of makes sense if you think you know your stuff. So, without further ado, we would click into the arcade mode again on the sidebar here. These new game modes are located under arcade, and boy, do we have some fancy new graphics here. We have our arenas. We know them. We love them. They're constantly ongoing, constantly being filled, updated. So keep getting those arenas in. Those are, again, cash entries, whether that's a $5 ticket or a $20 ticket. So, another thing that the arcade and the new game modes are allowing are new ways of entering, the core game mode, you own the NFTs to enter, right? Arenas, you don't need to own them. You just buy a $5 ticket and you're in. King of the Hill, you don't need to, it's not a dollar entry via tickets. You don't need to own the NFTs. You just have to have some frags, right? So 50 frag entry there. So there are 166 live players already for main six, which you can see here. And if we go back to main five, let's actually touch a little bit of a retrospective there. It looks like we had a double up here with Anonymous. Congrats, Anonymous, and Excedo. So, big in the community, big clipper. Love Excedo. Happy to see him win. Saw him post about it this morning. And folks, he only, I don't want to say only, but he only got half of them right. You see, so you don't need to aim for getting 8 out of 8, 100%, or even 7 out of 8. You could hit half of them and still win. Look at that. Look Look at that. Look at all those sweet fragments, baby. 21,000 frags for the lad, Excedo himself. Um, Zarka, appreciate you reposting the stream, brother. Yeah, appreciate it, GM. Almost at 300 viewers on this fine Thursday afternoon, at least PST. So appreciate everyone else piling in here. Thank you, thank you. But yeah, Excedo, you see that 50 frag entry, insane amount of frags that he won. And again, he did split it because he got 4 out of 8 alongside Anonymous here, right? No idea who that is. But it doesn't matter, right? It's not like you get more points for getting a 7-star correct versus a 1 star, right? Because you can see the Excedo got his 6-star choice right, but Anonymous got his 5-star choice right, but it didn't really matter. They were both 4 out of 8, and that's all that matters of getting is how many out of the total you get. So congrats to Excedo and Mr. Anonymous here taking home the big frag prize. That really is so cool to see. And I mean, wow, if you see a lot of people bet on Adam Cochran, a lot of people bet on Feijo, and Thread Guy. Sisyphus is the one that, man, that was crazy. Or even calling out the Selkis call out here with some of his reposting that got a couple million views. So this is going to be so hard, and I know I'm about to embarrass myself doing this, but you know what? Here we go. We're gonna try it. We're gonna submit here. We're gonna do a lineup, and we're gonna see how she goes. Um, let's see. Sorry, just making sure my Okay, yeah, did not disconnect. Cool, cool. All right, so for my you see you can kind of toggle here between which stars you want to choose, so it's not one giant list, which is nice. For my 8 stars, we've only got 12 options. I'm going Cochrane. I think I have to. but both for my own deck and just for everything, he's got going on, just the momentum. You gotta go Adam Cochran, you gotta ride the winning horse. 7 stars, we've got more options here, I could see Rectober and some ICO, Nick O'Neill if he decides to go viral. Jesse, always a candidate. Greg, I think I wanna go Greg, but Rectober honestly could be I think he's if you wanna differentiate yourself, I think Rectober is actually the better pick there. We look at his details. Mm, yeah, I love Rectober, but I am gonna go Greg just for the safety. 6 stars? 6 stars a little bit tougher. 6 stars a little bit tougher. I love Jez. Taiki's been on one. AZ Flynn had a really strong couple of opening weeks as a new hero. Kaleo, always possible to hit big. Actually, though, I think I'm gonna go with Jeff Park. He did like I showed in the beginning of the stream, he was on 3rd place, 30th place, 4th place, and he's down a bit. He finished what was it 75th, 80th place, something like that. So I'm gonna go with Jeff Park for a bounce back week. 5 stars here, automatically liking Rasmer, who I see. Hmm, Gwart, always a candidate to pop off. Gigi as well, hasn't been as strong recently, but, can't ever fade her, honestly. Vo, similarly, HK, not a bad choice. Honestly, I don't dislike Deez. Deez is a decent candidate. Oh, ooh, who do I go with? 5 stars. I think 5 star, I gotta go Rasmer. I think I'm going pretty chalk so far, truthfully, with Cochran, Greg, and Rasmer. I think Jeff Park might be my big differentiator. 4 stars. 4 stars is where, I mean, ugh, 4 stars could be anyone, man. You could convince me 4 stars with Luca, with Serpin, Loki, Zach, Merp, mm, Vaidamo, Wei Wu, Hart even. I'm gonna go Serpent. I'm gonna go Serpent. He's had some standout performances. I think that's my safest option. But really, with these low stars, I probably want to go. I want to hit home runs more than I do go safe, truthfully. So, 3 stars. Who do we like at 3 stars? Gout, Bread Guy, maybe. I don't hate Alex. Which Alex is the question? Web3 Quant, if he decided to post. Honestly, I'm gonna go Brad. This is a really down week for him. I mean, obviously Mega ETH didn't have too much, newsworthy stuff this last week, but I'm going Brad. 2 stars? Oh boy. I mean, if anyone has a one of those little plunger darts, I could just throw at my computer. I think that'd probably be best. For 2 stars, I think I'd probably like either Lil Moon Lambo or Hugo. And I don't love either of them, so I'm gonna shoot for the home run and go Hugo. 1 star. Oh, this is actually where it's a little juicy. Alon could pop off. If DB decided he wanted to come back from the dead, easy money. Honestly, altcoin Psycho will probably be my pick. He's had some banger weeks recently. So yeah, I'm going to altcoin Psycho. So that is going to be my king of the hill pick for this week. Again, I think it's pretty chalky, truthfully, with Cochran, Greg, Rasmer, Serp, Red. Honestly, probably Hugo as well, and altcoin Psycho. I think my biggest differentiator is probably Jeff Park. I think Hugo Some people might have gone with a little bit of a safer option in Low Moon Lambo there, and even in 1 star, I could see people trying for the home run hit with Alon. So, yeah, I don't think my lineup here is gonna be too unique, but hopefully the Jeff Park's the big differentiator there, and then chalk helps me out with Cochran, Greg, but as these things are, I mean, we just saw week 1 finished with the winners taking home only 4 out of 8. If I got 2 or 3 of these, I'd be pretty happy. 4 would make me ecstatic, so let's save that entry and cross our fingers, see how we do, folks. Those are our 50 frags down for our King of the Hill entry. And yeah, that's only one of the new arcade game modes. I'm gonna come back here, 350 follow or 350 viewers. Appreciate everyone stopping in right now. We're gonna go back. We are looking at the new arcade modes. We have Arena, we know and love. We just went through King of the Hill. So let's talk about the big one, the big new one that is. Jackpot was launched this morning. This was a popular game mode we saw discussion about and some tweaking by the team. We got a super funny video here. So shout out to the devs and the team for putting that together. But this is one where now not only are you incentivized in your core lineups to just put the best lineup possible together, you also want to make sure it has the possibility of being the best lineup possible, right? Not just winning, beating out all the competition, but literally picking the highest scoring lineup in the continuum that you could. Because if you do that, if you hit the best choices, the most optimal lineup imaginable, you will win the fantasy jackpot, which is starting out at $50,000. You read that right, folks. Not 50,000 frags, not 50,000 fantasy points, 50,000 US dollars. That is the jackpot prize pool. And for every week that it does not get hit, 5,000 more dollars will be added to the pool until it reaches $100,000. And then it just sits waiting for a player to submit the perfect deck and claim it. That's all that has to happen. You submit the perfect deck by the end of the week, you get 100K added to your account. Like, I mean, which is honestly just insane when you think about it. So I'm super stoked to see this happen. So yeah, just a quick, refresher, Jackpot 101. You have to hit a perfect deck, which means by the end of every tournament, there's only one optimal combination of 5 heroes that produces the highest possible score within each league. That lineup is the perfect deck. So in order to do that, you have to submit those decks yourself. Okay. You have to do that in the core competitions, and then you can register any of those decks you've submitted in the jackpot kind of area on the arcade. So I'll throw one of my decks into Silver League really quick just to put it together and register it just to show that flow to the audience. Um, yeah, and that's it. You get 3 free entries each week from your decks, but after that, you need to buy additional entries. So the next 10 entries would be 10 fragments apiece, then 20 fragments apiece for the next 10, 30 fragments, 50 fragments after that. So they've got it outlined in this very informative thread here. Great to see. And what's really exciting about this is that every single fragment used to purchase jackpot slots will be burned forever. Not repurposed by the fantasy team, not funneled into another game mode as prizes, just straight up burned, right? So they're making fragments hugely deflationary, which is really cool to see. Um, and yeah, I think this is going to be a big hit. I think it might be a while. I like to see anyone hit this week 1, although I'm sure Vasavi will be crunching all the numbers imaginable so that he can hit it. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna throw together an entry real quick. So let's just go into our competitions. We'll go into silver real quick, register a deck. 23 stars. Who do we got here? Immediately, Thread Guy is a 6 star. We love it. Um, Lawrence has a 4. We'll throw him in. Got 13 left. I already bet big on Jeff Park, so let's follow that up. And now I've got 7 stars left for commons. 7-star commons. Who do I like? Who do I like? Actually, let's go down here. Who are my low tier commons I could throw in? Um, Nothing great. Truth be told, probably best to go for a combo of like a 3 and a 4. So I'll throw in Web3 Quant for some upside, and then a 4-star. I like Zach. Zach hasn't been actually no, I'm gonna go Merp. Gonna go Merp. We'll save this deck. I do not anticipate this being a winning deck, truth be told, but I just wanted to, like I said, just wanted to go through it. Arcade mode. Now let's go over to Jackpot, where it already recognizes I have one main competition deck sorted or submitted. Sorry. Now, if I want to register, it is automatically registered because I only have one deck submitted. So I do love that it auto chooses my decks. Um, Right? So if you only submit 3 decks every week in the main competition, you're automatically entering those 3 in the jackpot. The problem will be, and let's just do it just to do it, just to show the flow. I'll come over into bronze. I'm just gonna auto make 3 more decks just to show what it looks like to pick. I will not end up keeping these just because I'm gonna wanna, use my best cards in silver or, some more strategic lineup choices, but just to see what that flow looks like again for everyone in the audience here. Oh, nope, let's go to arcade, access. So my registrations are these 3, and it's automatically filtering by the highest expected score. Again, super appreciative that, the fantasy team and the devs thought to organize it this way. That's great. Then, you're going to want to come edit registration. Let me add this guy, right? So I can choose to buy him and keep all 4, or I'm like, let's actually delete him. And it doesn't delete it in core, it just moves it down out of my registrations. Now I save, entry saved successfully. These are my new jackpot entries for season 6, main 6. And folks, we're ready to go. We're off to the races. I mean, it's as easy as that. So again, you don't even actually have to do anything in the jackpot. It will automatically register your 3 highest scoring highest expected scoring lineups. But again, all the pros know, even just because your expected highest scores or the algo is telling you that those are your highest expected scores, doesn't necessarily mean that's where you think it will end up being. So there's still a lot of customization, a lot of optimization that can be done there. Uh, so it's really really going to be exciting to see who hits this, how long before someone hits it. Will someone hit it week 1? Will we run up the jackpot to 100 grand before someone hits it, right? I mean, this is an insane payday that anyone has access to and will hopefully influence, the buying of NFT cards, right? Buy the assets needed for core gameplay. Really exciting to see that. Yeah, I think the synergy that we have here between these 3 game modes. You have one with free entries, one with small dollar amount entries in arenas, and now you have some fragment entries in King of the Hill. Different ways, some of these making assets deflationary, talking about like fragments, some of them, giving a little bit of rake back to the treasury, which helps to then funnel back into the jackpot, right? So a lot of these different game modes, in theory, going to be working in concert together to just provide more liquidity, more funds, more excitement, more game modes, more enjoyable experiences, all of it working in tandem back to the community. Um, so very, very excited to see it. Uh, and yeah, I think this is going to be a really, really cool experience. I'm excited to watch my King of the Hill lineup just flounder and get 0 out of 8. I'm excited to see myself not win the jackpot, but either way, it's going to be cool. And yeah, I think that's probably going to be just about it for me this week. Like I said, I've been rambling up here for nearly an hour all on my lonesome. Um, but what would an episode of Fantasy Top Down be without a little bit of pack buying. So let's just do, whoopsie. Let's do 5 packs, 500 frags, 5 Jades. I'll keep a couple of bullets in the chamber in case I want to enter a few more King of the Hill lineups at 50 frags each. Gives me 3 more bullets there. So we'll open some Jades, end the show on a high note, end the show with some excitement. I need some clovers in the chat, folks. I got 417 live viewers, so appreciate everyone piling in here this afternoon PST. I know it's probably getting to be evening, early, dinner time for some Eastern Standard Time folks, a little bit of a different time, but wanted to make sure we had everything in order to preview some of the new game modes and really dial in the excitement because baby, Fantasy Top is here and it's not going anywhere. So let's open some packs, claim 5 Jades. Let's here. Let's do this. Where's my authenticator code? Doo-doo-doo. All right. 5 Jades, 5 packs. Clovers and folks, come on. Are we feeling the legendary Greg? Are we? Legendary Ansem, maybe? Would also take an epic, I guess. All right, 5 cards. All you need is one. Okay. Starting off with the 8-star himself after a big week, Ryan Celsius. Don't think he'll stay there, but funny nonetheless. DB, if we do get a hero vote out after this week, he might be on the way out. I mean, I'm sure he is disappointing so many people. Icebergy, not bad. 3 stars is not the best, but I mean, he can pop off. Terminal of the Truth, Trash Slop AI, and a second Icebergy. Okay, I might be close to a rare there. Interesting. Well, got fooled with an 8-star at the beginning, even if it was Ryan Selkis, but those are my rips for the week, folks, and that will do it for another exciting episode of Fantasy Top Down. Thank you everyone for joining us. And we will see you all next week where, hey, hopefully we'll be discussing the first ever jackpot winner, right? That would be certainly something. So from myself, from my under the weather co-host Asgrin and everyone else here at the Fantasy Top team, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.